Okay, let's unpack this.
Ready for the deep dive. And I think this is one of the most vital topics we've ever covered. The stakes are just so high for so many people.
They truly are. Today, we're focusing on one of the most requested topics we've ever had. It's a deep dive specifically for our listeners who are navigating, the golden years.
At that critical time after retirement.
Exactly. The goalposts just shift completely. It's not about building wealth anymore. It's all about preserving the wealth of your own independence. So our mission today is really laser focused on three things that all lock together for, a dignified and thriving American senior experience. We're talking physical health, personal autonomy, and financial security.
It's the ultimate guide to maximizing your health span, not just your lifespan. Making sure the years you have left are high-quality years.
That's the key, isn't it?
Yeah.
And, when we talk to people about their fears after retirement, what do you think they say?
Money, usually. Running out of money.
That's what they say at first. They talk about market crashes. But when you really dig down, the greatest, most visceral fear is it's way more personal.
The loss of control.
The loss of physical autonomy. It's that moment you realize you need help with the most basic things, like using the restroom or bathing or just getting dressed.
Activities of daily living. ADLs.
Right. And that loss of control, that dependence on a spouse or a child or a professional aid, that's what really haunts people.
Yeah, that moment is the real transition from vibrant independence to, potentially long-term care. And we all know that transition has staggering, life-altering costs, both financially and emotionally, for the whole family.
And the secret we're going to reveal today, the key to disrupting that decline, is actually shockingly simple. It's affordable. It's accessible.
It's right in front of us.
It's changing your diet. And I want you to think of it not as, depriving yourself, but as proactive defense.
Yeah.
This one shift is the difference between being reliant on help in a facility versus enjoying that cruise you've been planning.
Or just being able to garden without pain.
Yes. It's the difference between your entire medical savings just evaporating versus saving tens of thousands of dollars to help your grandkids with college.
You're really leveraging food as the most effective form of personal insurance. It's not some complicated surgery or a new expensive drug.
So our deep dive mission today is what we're calling the Turning Off Inflammation Project. So why start there? Why is tackling chronic inflammation the absolute critical first step? Why not say weightlifting or brain games?
Because inflammation is the silent, systemic driver of almost every single chronic condition that ultimately robs a senior of their independence. It's the source code of the problem.
Okay.
If we can get control of inflammation, we stop the process of physical and cognitive decline right at its metabolic source. It's the foundation. If you don't control the inflammation, no amount of money or planning will protect your body's ability to stay autonomous. It all begins and ends right there.
So let's start right there, where the rubber meets the road. The common complaint, I hear this all the time from my parents, their friends, anyone hitting their 60s, 70s, they say, everything aches and pains now that I'm older.
My joints are stiff, I get tired.
Exactly. The brain fog is real.
Yeah.
And they internalize it. They assume this is an unavoidable tax that the calendar puts on you, right? It's just time marching on.
And that, right there, is the biggest and most dangerous myth we need to just bust right open. We accept this discomfort as age.
But it's not.
It's not. Age is just a number. The discomfort, the stiffness, the fatigue, that is a biological process. It has a name and it has a very clear cause. You can be chronologically old, but metabolically young.
So if it's not just age, what are we talking about on a biological level? What's actually happening inside the body?
I think we need a really powerful analogy here because the word inflammation just sounds too clinical.
Right. It doesn't have that visceral punch.
Exactly. So I want you to stop thinking of physical discomfort as wear and tear, like an old tire. Instead, I want you to think of it as rust.
Rust?
Your body isn't just aging. Specific parts of it are actively rusting or oxidizing from the inside out. And that rust, biologically, is chronic, low-grade, systemic inflammation. It's a slow, simmering fire.
Wow. Rust in your blood vessels, rust in your brain, rust in your knees. That is a chilling image because rust means, it means the structural integrity is being destroyed.
It's completely accurate, and we have to be clear. A little inflammation is good. You get a cut, your body sends the troops to heal it. That's acute inflammation.
The good kind.
The good kind. But chronic inflammation is like leaving your car parked on a salty, wet speech permanently.
Yeah.
It's a slow, steady, silent destruction happening 24 hours a day.
And what's causing this rust, especially in the modern American diet, for seniors who've been eating this way for decades, where's the main culprit?
It really comes down to one primary thing: a lifetime of excess sugar and highly processed, refined carbohydrates. It's the high levels of glucose constantly cycling through your bloodstream.
So cereal, bread, pasta, potatoes.
All of it, those low-fat, heart-healthy muffins, the sugary juices, when you consistently eat those, your body's just flooded with glucose. Over time, that constant sugar overload creates direct physical and chemical damage on the inner walls of your blood vessels.
Okay, let's get a little technical for our deep dive audience here. When you say damage, are we talking about the endothelium? That's super delicate lining of our arteries.
That's exactly what we're talking about, the endothelium. It should be smooth, slick, so blood can flow easily. But when it's exposed to high glucose all the time, a process called glycation happens.
Glycation.
Yeah, sugar molecules literally start binding to proteins and fats, and they create these toxic compounds called advanced glycation end products. The acronym is, appropriately, AGEs.
AGEs. The acronym says it all, doesn't it?
It really does. These AGs are sticky, they're stiff, and they are highly inflammatory. They basically irritate the endothelium, creating these tiny microscopic lesions like little scratches.
And the body tries to fix it.
It tries desperately to repair this injury, but if the sugar keeps coming, breakfast, lunch, a snack, dinner, the body never finishes the job. It just sends more inflammatory markers, more cholesterol to act as a Band-Aid.
So the cholesterol is the response, not the cause.
It's the Band-Aid, not the bullet. And this just results in a low-level systemic fire. That fire is chronic inflammation. And because your blood vessels are everywhere, this rust spreads through the whole system, compromising every single organ.
So the damage is systemic because the problem is in the circulatory system. The rust doesn't just stay in one place. It finds the weak spots in your body and attacks them.
Precisely, and we can see how this rust shows up depending on where it settles. If that chronic, sugar-fueled inflammation attacks the joints, the cartilage, the tissue, it becomes painful, debilitating arthritis.
That's why people wake up so stiff.
It's why their knees ache or their hands swell up. They think it's from years of, heavy lifting. But it's often years of inflammation literally eating away at the protective structures in their joints.
And what happens when that same rust, that inflammation, gets into the brain?
Yeah.
That seems like the ultimate threat to your independence.
That is probably the most terrifying outcome. When chronic inflammation attacks the brain, it disrupts the neural pathways. It contributes significantly to neurodegenerative conditions like Alzheimer's, dementia, and just general cognitive decline.
So those senior moments, that memory loss, it might not just be your brain getting old. It could be a chemical attack from your diet.
That's the crucial takeaway. We used to think these were all separate issues: joint pain, heart trouble, memory loss. But the deep dive confirms they are often all fed by the same underlying fire, driven by that constant glucose assault. It changes everything.
Which brings us to what doctors usually do, right? The futility of just treating the symptom.
Absolutely. So many seniors are on, 5, 10, sometimes 20 different pills a day. Pain relievers for the joints, blood pressure meds, maybe something for blood sugar.
A pill for every problem.
But taking medication for this is exactly like painting over a rusty pipe. You might cover up the symptom for a little while, the pain dulls, but you haven't stopped the rust from continuing to eat away at the pipe underneath.
You're just paying a monthly fee to manage a leak, but the whole water main is corroding.
Exactly. The only path to real, lasting independence is to eliminate the cause of the rust. You have to turn off that continuous flood of simple carbs and high glucose. Once you remove the irritant, the body can finally start to heal.
Okay, that explanation of AGEs and the endothelium just makes so much sense. We have to stop the rust at the source. So let's talk about the solution. Here's where it gets really interesting, because the fix is literally on your dinner plate. Low carbohydrate, high fat, LCHF.
Yes. LCHF is the metabolic switch. We are asking the body to change its fundamental fuel source, and that switch has profound, immediate, and systemic anti-inflammatory effects.
Let's use that car analogy again to make this super clear. Let's compare the two metabolic states.
Okay, so think of your body as a dual-engine vehicle. For decades, the standard American diet has forced your body to run almost exclusively on its sugar engine.
Glycolysis.
Right. And this engine, it burns hot and it burns dirty. It needs constant refueling, which leads to energy crashes, and crucially, it produces a huge amount of that inflammatory soot, the AG as we talked about.
And the LCHF approach forces the body into a completely different state, right? Ketosis.
Exactly. We switch it over to the fat engine. When you drastically cut the carbs, the sugars, the processed flours, and you replace those calories with healthy natural fats, your body adapts. It starts breaking down fat into molecules called ketones for fuel.
And the primary ketone is beta-hydroxybutyrate, BHB.
That's the one. BHB is the key.
So is it just a cleaner fuel? Is that the whole story?
Yeah. Oh, it's so much more than just a cleaner fuel. BHB is a very clean fuel, yes. It burns slowly, steadily, and it doesn't produce that inflammatory soot. But here's the real deep dive insight. BHB is also a potent signaling molecule.
What does that mean?
It means it actively sends messages in your body.
Yeah.
Studies show that BHB can actually block one of the body's primary molecular machines that triggers chronic inflammation.
Wait, hold on. So the fuel itself is actively turning down the fire. It's not just stopping the flow of rust-causing sugar, it's also grabbing a fire extinguisher.
Precisely. It's both preventative and therapeutic. By running on the fat engine, we stabilize blood sugar, we dramatically lower insulin, we stop irritating our blood vessels, and at the same time, the BHB is acting like a powerful anti-inflammatory agent throughout your whole system. Inflammation just plummets.
Okay, now we have to address the elephant in the room. We absolutely must, especially for our senior listeners who were, for decades, completely indoctrinated.
The fat is bad mantra.
Yes, low fat was everything. So people are hearing this and thinking, clogged arteries, heart attacks. They're thinking, if I go against my doctor's advice from the last 30 years and start eating butter and steak fat, am I just trading one problem for another?
It's a critical and completely valid concern, and the fear of natural fat, butter, steak, egg yolks, it's based on old knowledge. It comes from flawed nutritional science from the 60s and 70s.
So what's the new understanding? If fat isn't the primary driver of heart disease, what is?
The primary driver is chronic inflammation combined with high levels of triglycerides. And what skyrockets your triglycerides?
Let me guess. Sugar and refined carbs.
Exactly. When you eat a low-fat, high-carb diet, your liver converts all that excess glucose into fat, specifically triglycerides, and pumps it out into your bloodstream where it contributes to plaque.
So the sugar we were eating to avoid fat was causing our bodies to create the very fat that was harming our hearts.
That is the cruel irony of the entire low-fat era. And we've also learned that the type of LDL, or bad cholesterol, particle matters more than the total number. High-carb diets tend to produce small, dense LDL particles that get stuck in the artery walls.
The dangerous kind.
The dangerous kind. LCHF, however, tends to shift the balance toward large, fluffy LDL particles, which are much less likely to cause problems. When you remove the inflammation and the sugar, you fundamentally change the cardiovascular risk for the better.
So we're talking about natural fats here.
Yeah.
Butter, grass-fed meat, olive oil, avocados. We are not talking about processed vegetable oils or trans fats.
No, absolutely not. Those are highly inflammatory in their own right. Natural fats are essential building blocks. Your brain is mostly fat and cholesterol. It needs this clean, dense fuel to repair itself and function properly.
And the anecdotal evidence is what really gives people hope, isn't it? The return of physical mobility seems to happen so fast.
It is often dramatic. Because the pain in the joints is so present, when you remove the fuel for that inflammation, you feel the results very quickly. Patients frequently report a huge reduction in chronic pain, especially in their knees, hips, and lower back.
And how fast are we talking? What kind of timeline can a senior really expect?
Well, everyone is different, of course, but the sources we reviewed suggest that within just 3 to 6 weeks of strictly adopting an LCHF plan, the difference is palpable. I mean, I've seen accounts of patients who are able to discard their canes.
Wow.
Or stop relying on heavy daily pain meds simply because the systemic misery was just shut off.
Yeah.
They realized the pain wasn't just age. It was preventable and it was reversible.
3 weeks to potentially discard a cane. That's not just a health outcome. That is a massive increase in personal dignity and freedom. That's the ultimate incentive.
It changes their entire outlook on what their remaining years can be. They're regaining control, proving that the symptoms they feared most were actually signs of metabolic damage they could repair.
This physical change leads us right to the core. So what for our listener? We have to connect this to the twin goals of retirement: financial security and personal autonomy. Seniors spend their lives building a nest egg, but that nest egg is under constant assault from preventable health crises.
Without a doubt, the physical decline is the single greatest non-market threat to any financial plan. Managing inflammation through diet isn't a lifestyle choice, it's the ultimate retirement insurance policy.
Okay, let's put some real dollar figures on this. Do you know how much one ambulance ride costs in the U.S.?
It can be thousands of dollars, easily.
And that's just the start. A single preventable health event, say a fall that breaks a hip or a stroke from vascular damage, that can trigger a catastrophic financial chain reaction.
It's a domino effect. You're looking at the ER visit, the hospital stay, which blows past your deductible, then it's short-term skilled nursing care, followed by maybe needing home health aides permanently.
One event can wipe out a decade of savings.
Easily. We focus so much on maximizing our investment returns, but we completely overlook the most destructive financial variable, which is unchecked medical bills.
So if your diet, by reducing inflammation, prevents one major joint replacement or one stroke, you are essentially saving your own financial future hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Absolutely. By reducing that chronic inflammation with LCHF, you get this dual payoff that secures not just your body, but your entire retirement plan.
Let's break down those two benefits. Let's start with independence. What does deep, lasting autonomy really look like for a senior?
Independence is freedom from being a burden, physically, financially, emotionally. It means having the resilience to shop for your own groceries and carry them in, to drive safely, to manage your own finances.
To travel without needing a committee meeting to plan it.
Exactly. The goal is to be fully functional, physically and mentally, well into your 80s and 90s. When you get rid of the joint pain and the brain fog, you remove the roadblocks that turn simple tasks into huge burdens. That's what ensures you don't become dependent on your kids.
And that's a huge psychological weight lifted, not just for the senior, but for their children, who are often jumbling their own lives.
It is. And that leads to the second benefit, the massive payoff in time and money. Think about the chronic illness treadmill in America. Just consider type 2 diabetes, a condition driven almost entirely by carbohydrate overload.
Give us some hard numbers on that.
Okay, so based on averages from major health studies, managing ongoing diabetes meds, supplies, specialist visits, complications can easily run between $10,000 and $16,000 a year per person.
Wow, per year.
Per year. So over 10 years, that's, say, $150,000. Compare that to the cost of switching to high-quality LCHF food. The savings from avoiding the disease just dwarfs the grocery bill.
What about just managing the symptoms of inflammation, like arthritis pain?
Arthritis meds, supplements, physical therapy copays, that's another stream of hundreds of dollars every single month, year after year. And more profoundly, think about the cost of losing your mobility if inflammation forces you to hire a home health aide to help you bathe and dress.
The definition of losing autonomy.
It is. You are now looking at hourly rates that can easily become $30,000, $40,000, even $50,000 a year. That is the ultimate financial killer for a senior on a fixed income. If LCHF prevents that need for just 5 years, you've saved $250,000. That's real wealth.
And then there's the cost of time.
Time. The one resource you can't get back. Seniors don't want to spend it in a cold hospital waiting room. Instead of spending 3 hours a month on a routine checkup for a preventable condition, you're getting that time back.
You're spending it golfing or gardening or with your family?
That time is truly priceless. And the money you save, the avoided ambulance fees, the prescriptions you no longer need, that is a massive financial reallocation. That's the money you can finally use to actually enjoy retirement.
It just shifts the whole narrative. You're not just delaying the inevitable. You're actively funding a better future by choosing better health today.
It's the most powerful investment you can possibly make in your retirement portfolio.
And that is the powerful takeaway. True wealth in your later years is the freedom to walk on your own two legs. It's the clarity to manage your own affairs. The goal is to make the hospital a place you only visit when you absolutely have to, not a monthly stop for a preventable condition.
The plate is the control panel for your independence and your financial future. And that mindset shift is the true unlock for the golden years.
Okay, that seals it. The problem is inflammation from sugar and carbs. The solution is switching to the clean-burning fat engine. So for the listener who is ready to go right now, what is the immediate, non-intimidating action plan? What can they do tonight?
We want to keep this exceptionally simple. No complex macro counting, no apps. The initial goal is just substitution. We focus on what to eliminate the inflammation bombs and what to embrace the essential building blocks.
Let's start with the OUT list. What specific things need to leave the pantry and the fridge immediately to turn off that rust factory?
The OUT list is about the most egregious sources of sugar and refined starch. Number 1, bread and pasta.
the classic American staples.
They're metabolic threats. They break down almost instantly into glucose, triggering those massive insulin spikes. So that's sandwich bread, hamburger buns, bagels, all of it.
Okay, what's next?
Number 2, oatmeal and breakfast cereals. This is probably the hardest one for the senior generation because oatmeal has been marketed as heart healthy for 40 years.
I have to stop you there because the listener is screaming, wait, my doctor told me oatmeal lowers cholesterol. How do we get past that?
We acknowledge the history, but we have to point to the science. Oatmeal is a concentrated carbohydrate source. For someone struggling with inflammation, a bowl of instant oatmeal is a major, unnecessary glucose dump first thing in the morning.
So the glucose spike is the real enemy here.
The spike is the trigger for the AGEs. We have to eliminate it. Number 3, sugary juices and sweetened beverages. This includes soda, but especially fruit juices, which are just pure concentrated fructose and glucose.
They seem healthy, but they're not.
They're basically soda without the bad reputation, which makes them even more dangerous. And finally, number 4, low-fat dairy and dressings.
Why those?
Because when they take the fat out of a product, they have to replace the flavor and texture with something. And that something is almost always sugar, high fructose corn syrup, or inflammatory vegetable oils. If the label says low fat, be very skeptical.
So if it's white, fluffy, promises low-fat benefits, or comes in a box with a cartoon heart on it, it's probably an inflammation bomb.
That's a pretty good rule of thumb. Now let's get to the good part, the IN list. What delicious, satisfying foods do you get to eat?
Yes, give us this stuff that feels like a reward, not a punishment.
The IN list is simple, it's satisfying, it's a return to whole foods. Number 1, steak, eggs, and quality meats.
Okay.
These provide excellent protein and healthy natural fats. This is the clean, dense fuel. Don't trim the fat, that's the long-lasting energy. Number 2, the whole egg, yolk and all. The yolk has essential nutrients for brain health. Number 3, avocados and olives, powerhouses of healthy fat and fiber, and use high-quality olive oil liberally. And number 4, butter and ghee. Real natural butter is a far superior, cleaner fat source than margarine.
This sounds rich and satisfying, which brings up a crucial point. For decades, diet has meant calorie restriction, hunger, and suffering.
We have to kill that myth right now. This is not about starvation. If you are hungry, you are doing LCHF wrong. The instruction is to eat enough good fats and protein until you are full.
No more 2-hour hunger pangs after a bowl of cereal.
Exactly. Fat provides so much satiety and stabilizes blood sugar so effectively that your body stops sending those urgent, craving-driven hunger signals. Once you switch engines, inflammation goes down and your energy levels surge. That mid-afternoon brain fog just disappeared.
So the plan is simple. Clear out the top 4 inflammation bombs, fill your plate with high-quality meats, eggs, avocados, and butter. But I have to ask the question that is burning in the listener's mind.
I think I know what it is.
Steak and quality meats are on the N list. But in reality, cheap processed foods, pasta, bread, instant oatmeal, are a lot cheaper, especially on a fixed income. How can a senior actually afford this good stuff without their budget collapsing?
That is the most critical hurdle to actually doing this. We've solved the physiological problem, but now we're facing the economic reality. If the only way to get healthy is through expensive foods, then the solution is out of reach for a lot of people.
So we have to be tactical about shopping.
We have to learn where the best value for dense nutrition is in the American supermarket. We have to redefine cheap. $1 spent on nutrient-dense fat is infinitely cheaper than $1 spent on carbs that will cost you $10 later in medical bills.
And that brings us back to the long view and the ultimate stakes here. We're living longer. Living to 100 is becoming common, but the quality of those extra decades, your health span, that matters infinitely more than the next. Are you going to greet 100 in a bed, reliant on help for every single thing? Or are you going to greet 100 on a hiking trail or getting on that cruise ship?
The quality of those later years is the difference between a golden age and a gilded cage. And the amazing, empowering truth is that the power to achieve that independent life rests on what's on your plate today. You have the control.
You can choose to stop feeding the rust, those advanced glycation end products, and start rebuilding your engine with clean, steady fuel.
By switching to LCHF, you're making an active choice for clean blood vessels, less chronic pain, a sharper mind, and a proud senior life that requires no one's help. That freedom is the true measure of wealth.
It's priceless. And now, for the provocative thought we leave you with, we just touched on the cost challenge. When you're implementing a health plan that requires higher quality food, the question becomes, Do you prioritize the long-term savings of avoiding disease or the immediate savings of buying the cheapest food you can find?
We have to figure out that optimization curve. The challenge isn't just what to buy, but how to buy it. How to source the most nutritionally dense foods at the lowest possible cost to secure both your health and your finances.
That is a critical strategy that every senior has to master. How do we turn this health revolution into a grocery strategy that doesn't break the bank?
And we're going to show you exactly how to do that.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We will be tackling that exact financial challenge in our next deep dive. The best value LCHF ingredients you can buy at the American supermarket.
Until then, choose independence on your plate.
The golden years are just beginning.